It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. You can also email us at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. It is a very exciting time in California because it seems like with the signatures that were gathered to put the Reform Prop 47 initiative on the ballot, the residents have had enough of the nonsense. They've had enough of the lawlessness. Now, we'll see what the actual voting looks like in November, but the fact that you have so many high-level electeds, whether it be Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, Robert Rivas, the Speaker of the Assembly, or Mr. Hogwash in the state Senate.
There's been some hogwash.
It seems like you have a lot of people that are very afraid that if this thing makes the ballot, which it is going to pass. And I think part of the reason for that is while we have had initiatives in the past to reform Prop 47, notably there was one in 2020, it did not pass. I feel like since 2020, there has been such a rise in brazen lawlessness that you have seen on video that irritates the crap out of the hardworking citizens of California. Because the vast majority of us, regardless of political persuasion, are good, hardworking people. It's those a-holes out there that like to take advantage of everybody that we're sick of and we'd like to see something done about because obviously they're not getting the message. And at least in my opinion, the one issue that I think is more irating than even smash and grabs, than some of the other brazen crime that we see out there, is the rampant, nonstop street takeovers that we see on a constant basis throughout the state of California, especially in Southern California. It seems that there's one every other weekend in some part of South LA or Compton or Inglewood or Boyle Heights. They're all over the place, and it's not just South LA. They're in Chatsworth. They're in the North Valley. They're in the West Valley. They're all over the place. And the fact that these things can go on and law enforcement seems outgunned and outmanned and no way to actually deal with the fallout of the dangerous acts that are committed, the looting that occasionally happens when a business gets destroyed just because it had the unlucky ability to be right next to where the street takeover was, and the fact that it doesn't seem to be any major consequences for any of the people that organize this stuff, that participate in it, or even just show up to attend. In fact, here is a fantastic deep dive from NBC4 on exactly why it is so hard to deal with these street takeovers.
First, everyone wants them gone. The crowd, squealed tires, and danger at an all-time high. The difficulty in stopping street takeovers. The news at 5 starts now.
This is NBC4 News at 5.
We begin with those takeovers. Our I-team has been looking into how the number of reports of street takeovers and street racing has continued to skyrocket around the LA area. Good evening, everyone. I'm Annabelle Sedano.
And I'm Michael Brownlee in for Colleen here tonight. Well, despite increased attention from city leaders and focused efforts from police, nothing seems to be slowing them down. Investigative reporter Eric Leonard is live with an update on why it's been so difficult to get a handle on this problem. Eric.
Okay, if there's one person that's going to figure out what the problem is here, it's Eric Leonard. I used to work with Eric Leonard. He used to be a reporter at KFI when I was a board op over there. He knows what he's doing.
Investigative reporter Eric Leonard is live with an update on why it's been so difficult to get a handle on this problem. Eric.
Well, hi, Michael and Annabelle. We saw that video from the takeover a week ago in South LA that authorities said led to a mob-style break-in at an auto parts store. So we wanted to find out.
That's right. They took down the AutoZone. If we have time, we'll get into that story.
What did the
AutoZone do?
Wanted to find out what's been happening. Now, in the city of LA, there are task forces specifically focused on street racing and these so-called sideshows. But officials tell us laws right now aren't tough enough, so there's little to deter people from taking part.
So even with the task forces, there's nothing that can really be done. So the problem keeps getting worse and worse and worse and more out of control. Let's find out what has been done, what has been attempted to stop these street takeovers. And while you're listening to this, because you are a resident of Southern California, maybe you've been in a neighborhood where one of these happened. Maybe you've just witnessed them on the internet. But I bet you are the creative people out there, you might have an actual solution how to take care of this, because it seems right now our elected officials through law enforcement are scratching their heads how to stop this, how to keep these things from happening, because they're happening all the time. If you have an idea how to stop the street takeovers, give me a call. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222.
Police tell the I-Team many in the crowd that raided this AutoZone store at Century and Hoover had been part of the street takeover or sideshow at the intersection nearby at Century and Hoover.
I don't understand the impulse. You're watching cars do donuts, do scary stunts and tricks, and all of a sudden you get so amped up from that, you need to smash into an auto parts store to steal some brake pads. What the hell?
And data gathered by
the only reason that anyone would do something like that is having no fear of anything ever happening to them. Being on security camera doesn't matter. It's a badge of honor. Heck, if you're a minor, definitely nothing's going to happen to you.
And data gathered by the LAPD's two street racing task forces shows the number of races and takeovers has continued to climb in the first part of 2024.
It's just been kind of frustrating dealing with all the street takeovers. It started back in 2021 and just been dealing with it ever since then, and they've gotten worse.
Michael Kirschman Jr. said,
that's a good point. These things, maybe they happened a little bit a few years ago, but going back to when a certain person took over in Southern California, specifically Los Angeles County.
So we're mindful of all these things, but
criminals, people that want to participate in this illegal behavior, have felt only more emboldened.
Quite frankly.
And in fact, LA wants to make it even worse. What does the city of Los Angeles want to do? The city of Los Angeles, they want to eliminate traffic enforcement. They want to have unarmed civilians go after anybody breaking any traffic laws. So how exactly, who would respond to street takeovers? And when LAPD was trying to explain to the LA City Council Transportation Department why it would be a terrible idea to take traffic enforcement away from law enforcement, they said, sometimes we see somebody with a modified muffler, and that gives us the possible idea that these might be the people in the street takeovers. Sometimes we recognize the cars in the videos, and then we pull them over. Well, they can't do that anymore.
Michael Kirschman Jr. says it seems like there's been at least one every week near his house near Century and Hoover, where the AutoZone was targeted a week ago. And he says it feels like calls to authorities haven't done much.
First of all, they say just call the non-emergency number, which you do, and you're on there for 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay, why is it a non-emergency? These things have led to people losing their lives. Cars have crashed into homes and killed people. This is an emergency. When one of these things happens, it is a complete destruction of society. Sure, it's a lot of fun to watch and look at those sparks fly, but no, we've got to have a zero tolerance for this. And how dare you say, don't call 911 about it?
20 to 30 minutes waiting for a dispatch officer to get on, and then you tell them what's happening, and usually they tell you that several other people have called in already. And then you wait like another 30 minutes before you hear police sirens showing up.
And I understand part of the problem here is the police are completely outnumbered for these things. These happen late at night, sometimes even on like a Sunday night or a Monday night. And they probably tactically is a reason why you don't want to divert every single officer that you have at night to one specific area. I understand that, but standing down, waiting for the event to break up because you don't have enough cop cars to surround the place and start making arrests, that's a problem.
As the I-Team reported at this time last year, the number of takeovers has increased in Central and South LA, and officials have said few of the strategies used to try to stop them are working. Bumps glued to the street or other physical barriers installed at an intersection, the report said, rarely stop the takeover. One specific type of barrier in
Wait, so we tried to put little bumps on the streets. So, it wouldn't bother the people regularly crossing the intersection unless you're speeding. But if you're trying to do donuts, it's not going to be as fun. But that didn't work because they could, they can keep going without them.
One specific type of barrier installed in Sylmar appeared to work, but rather than stop takeovers, it just drove the cars and crowds to other streets nearby.
It seems like infrastructure design is not going to solve this problem unless you want to make every single major intersection in Los Angeles a roundabout. And as somebody that has to deal with a roundabout every day because they keep installing them in Culver City, I can't stand roundabouts.
Authorities say the bigger issue is still the law. Even when officers show up and catch people in the act, there are few significant penalties. And according to some new data, the number of reckless driving and speeding tickets issued at these events went up significantly in early 2024.
Wait, that's all we give out? Speeding and reckless driving for these complete mayhem events, blocking streets, blocking emergency officers. How in the 4 years since this has become really prominent, have we not drafted that this is a new kind of crime that needs to have a new kind of response? No wonder these things keep happening. All you get is a reckless driving ticket. And guess what? Traffic enforcement's not going to be held by law enforcement anymore, so don't even worry about paying that ticket. You're not going to get pulled over by anybody.
The number of reckless driving and speeding tickets issued at these events went up significantly in early 2024, and yet the number of reported street races also increased by nearly 50%, and the number of reported takeovers crept up by about 2%.
So these things kept happening, even though they're issuing tickets, because tickets are not enough. How are you able to keep your car with this? You know, that's one strategy. That's happening up in San Joaquin County in the Stockton area. They decided they were going to tow everybody's car. Everybody who attended, everyone who participated, and you didn't get your car back until your case was adjudicated. Is that how far we have to go with this?
It's hard enough in South LA. I think that if all of a sudden small businesses are constantly getting hit, people are not going to want to set up small businesses down here. I mean, these are neighborhoods that people have lived in for a long time, and I think South LA deserves better.
Now, one man was arrested after allegedly leading police on a chase after that AutoZone raid last week. He was charged with several felonies, including organized retail grand theft, but police tell us that's kind of unusual. Most people caught face misdemeanors, and at most, there aren't enhancements that increase penalties for taking part in a street takeover or a street race.
And unfortunately, right now, there's no appetite to add enhancements for things like this. If the 47 reform passes, you might see a little more appetite because there are a lot of wishy-washy politicians who will realize where the public is on this. So do we need to toughen up the laws? Is that what we got to do here?
There are several proposals to change state and local laws, but at the moment, none of those have taken effect. Live in the newsroom, I'm investigative reporter Eric Leonard, NBC4 News. Back to you.
There you go. Here is my question to you, because it seems that the task force that has been put forth by the LA City Council has run out of ideas. If you have some ideas in your head of how we stop the street takeovers, how we stop the sideshows, do we have to go after the people organizing it? Do we need to be cracking down on, because, you know, these things don't just pop up out of nowhere. They're advertised on social media. How are we not able to go after the organizers and stop this? Or at least we know when it's happening. You block all the roads and you get everybody in. They tried that once in the Bay Area. How would you stop the street takeovers? If you got an idea for me, I want to hear from you. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's talk to Dale in Long Beach. Dale, hello.
Hello, Randy. Yeah, you need to stiffen the penalties, make it a felony. If you and me got caught doing reckless driving, you and me would be in handcuffs and our car would be impounded.
You make a great point, Randy? But no, what happens with these people, nothing happens to them except they get a ticket.
Okay, this is how we catch them. We go on the CB radio. We say, breaker, breaker. We get some big rig truck drivers to come over and block all the roads and block them all in there. We bust all of them. We impound all their cars, and we teach them a good lesson, and everybody else has the same idea.
I love that idea. Let's get a convoy involved because, yeah, if you block all of the exits to the intersection, they can't get out of there. Maybe they can run out of there, but they're going to have to leave their cars.
Yep. You'll be running for a long ways home.
I love it. Dale, that's a great one. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. It's as simple as that. If you got an idea how to take down the street takeovers, give me a call. 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Morris in Toluca Lake. Morris, hello.
Yeah, good afternoon. That's a big problem with the car takeovers, auto theft. There's really no justice. The hoodlums that do the street takeovers, generally the vehicles are stolen, and under the law right now, it's called unauthorized use of a vehicle joyriding. They get approximately 2 days in custody. The way to handle this is, number one, install a whipping machine. On a first offense, these hoodlums, got to be whipped because they failed to get a whipping or proper upbringing from their what so-called parents. I don't know what parenting. All right, install a whipping machine. Number two, take their driver's license. They can't have a driver's license for 10 years. And number three, when they get caught driving without a license, automatically 12-year prison sentence for driving without a license. Okay.
There's some ideas for you. Morris, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. A little out there on one of those, but you know what? Getting tougher on the driving without a license, taking away the license. Of course, we have to be able to enforce that. But now we're starting to cook here. If you've got some ideas on how to take down the street takeovers, because it seems that the task force we have that's tasked with dealing with this is out of ideas. Give me yours. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. The task forces that are supposed to be stopping the street takeovers in Los Angeles are throwing up their hands because every idea they came up with hasn't worked yet. Giving out tickets hasn't worked. Putting speed bumps in some of these intersections hasn't worked. Maybe you have a better idea. How do we stop the street takeovers? 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Chuck in Riverside. Chuck, hello.
Hey, Randy, how are you?
Great.
Good. Well, my idea is pretty simple, I would say. These kids film everything every day, and they film these street takeovers. All we got to do is put a task force on looking at all the different medias on their phones and just take the pictures of the license plates of the cars that are doing things, and then we go impound the car for a minimum of 30 days. And when they come to pick up their car, we tag them on with 100 hours of community service. And if they can't pay the fines or do the community service, we just sell their car at a police auction so that it will fund the task force that's, doing this.
I think that is a fantastic idea. And one of the things that you pointed out that is so true, there is literal video evidence of every single one of these. They're all on social media. They're all on Instagram. They're all on YouTube. The evidence is right there of who's doing what. And if people are driving like that, we should be impounding their cars.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Let's go to Jim in Glendale. Jim, hello.
Hi, Randy. So all of these things are organized online. How can this task force I hope there's more than one car. They know where they're going to be. They can find out. They know exactly what time they're going to gather. Why can't they just get 10 or 15 police cars to roll to these things when they know where they're going to be and when they're going to be? How tough can that be?
That's the thing. If they don't have whatever they're doing on this task force now, they should have somebody that is combing every single one of the social media things that are used for this, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Snapchat, whether, people know. And you know what? If you bust anybody up who attended one of these, you ask them, how the hell did you find out about this? You crack in there. And once you know one is going on, you're right. You got to have enough infrastructure, whether it's like the caller said before, flatbed trucks, something to block all the intersections. So everyone participating gets punished. Jim, you got a great idea there. Thank you so much for the call. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. If you were in charge of the task force to stop street takeovers, how would you do it? 800-222-KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Street takeovers are getting worse and worse and worse in Los Angeles. There's a task force that for months has been trying to figure out a solution, and they've come up with nothing. They tried giving out tickets. The incidents happened more. They tried putting up speed bumps, didn't stop them. Do you have a better idea how to take down the street takeovers? 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Tom in Costa Mesa. Tom, hello.
Hi. Excuse me. It's kind of crazy, but give everybody, the neighbors, store owners, an electronic device to shut down the motor. The minute they roll up, the cops roll up with the tow trucks and tickets get handed out, the cars get towed, and that's the end of it. I'm sure they can develop some kind of electronic device.
I do love that idea in theory, but if
it's
that
kind of crazy,
device exists,
obviously it's not going to work.
The thing about the fact that if that kind of device exists, what's to stop the criminal element from figuring out how to use that on you and then stopping your car and bipping you in the middle of the street?
I don't know. I'll go to electric cars then.
There we go.
I don't know.
Thanks so
It's
much
crazy.
for the call, Tom. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. It's a brainstorming session. Not every idea is going to be amazing, but that's how we get to an even better idea. Let's go to Harry in San Francisco. Harry, hello.
Well, these task forces, you can handle and hire anyone you want. They don't work, they don't want to work, or they're just plain stupid. So what you got to do is watch these street takeovers. You know where they're going to be. You send somebody up there. You see a car that's maybe a block away or two. You take a 357 Automag Magnum and you put it right to the gas tank. That'll take this explosion. You'll get the cops, the firemen. You'll bring the whole cavalry just like that.
Well, there's one idea. Harry, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Greg in San Diego. We're going up and down the state. Greg, hello.
Hey, how are you? You know, those little spike strips that the CHP uses that they fling across the freeway, or they use it on any of the roads that, you know, they puncture the tire and they go flat. They could get a mat of those and lay them out by these cars. They can get a couple of people up there, police, and have them do that. You know, this sort of reminds me of the stuff going on in Saudi Arabia. I served over in the Middle East, and the kids over there do all kinds of stuff with their cars. They have takeovers of the whole road, and they have some severe penalties for that over there. They obviously confiscate their cars forever, but they do they do drifting and stuff out there in Saudi Arabia, and you know, you can go on YouTube and see those. But those spike strips that I'm talking about, you know, they puncture holes in the tires and they can't go very far. That's one of the ideas. The electronic one I heard was one that I was going to suggest. They have the device that police use, and it rolls underneath like a little cart and goes under the car, and it zaps the electrics so it stops the car. But I don't know if the criminals can get them. But those spike strips are what I suggest.
I think the spike strips are a fantastic idea. And thanks for all that insight about Saudi Arabia, Greg. Thanks so much for the call. See, if you can't get a police officer to go in there solo. That happened in San Jose. One police officer tried to respond because someone got injured at one of these things. And a whole bunch of these people literally started jumping on top of the cop car and trashing it. But if you get someone undercover, what we need undercover officers. Maybe they've got one of these. You've got a spike strip small enough that you could hold it under your jacket. And when these things start, you throw it out there undescript. No one's paying attention to you because of all the donuts out there. The tires go a popping, and then the cavalry comes in. Maybe that's an idea. 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Hector in Southgate. Hector, hello.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah, no, mine is just common sense. Just make it a felony on a first offense, $10,000 fine on a first offense, and also impound their cars, and then they crush them. Take them to the junkyard and cube them. No more car.
I love that. You know, these things are so dangerous and so out of control. If you're one of these drivers, yeah, your car goes bye-bye. There's no getting it back for you, and it should be a felony. You're totally right about that, Hector. Thank you so much for the call. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. How about Frank in Glendale? Frank, hello.
Same thing. Just impound the car and crush it. After a while, you won't see them around anymore.
Now, what do you think about what the county sheriff in El Dorado County did, where they started impounding the cars, not just of the people performing these things, but the people attending as well.
Well, they're there. They're causing problems. I remember they passed a law. If you were caught drag racing, they used to take the car and crush them. It stopped the drag racing. It slowed it down and eventually stopped. Same thing will happen with this. Take the car away from them, get rid of the car. That's a lot of money going down their drain. And they can't, after a while, they'll stop doing it. You can bet your life on it. That's
well,
the way
and
I
that
see
is
it.
That's a real consequence. Forget what, how long it takes to go through a trial with this. They lose that car.
Exactly
that's
it. That's the problem.
50. Exactly. I love it.
Yes.
Frank, thanks so
Yes.
much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. A lot of support for taking the cars away and crushing them, which if we go with the first idea, which is block all the roads with semi-trucks, then we can stop them, then we can arrest them, then we can take their cars, and the cars go bye-bye. Or I don't know, donate them to 1-877 Cars for Kids. Let's go to Bill in La Cañada. Bill, hello.
Hey, Randy, I was kind of skeptical at first, but I think I like Catherine Barger's new Dirty Harry protocol for the ambassadors. I know what you're thinking, punk. Did he call 9/11 6 times or only 5? Well, I lost track myself in all the excitement. But being how this is a 44-watt buzzer, the most powerful panic button in the world, likely to blow your ears clean off, you've got to ask yourself one question. Do I want my mom to spank me? Well, do you, punk?
That's pretty good, Bill. Appreciate it. Thanks so much for the call. You never know where the show's going to go when you put Bill from La Cañada on. Let's go to Fred in North Hollywood. Fred, hello.
Yeah, hey, Randy. Okay, forget all of that stuff. This is simple. You know those poles that protect the light poles in front of the 7-Eleven that are dug down to the middle of the earth that do not move if you hit them? Right?
Oh, yeah.
Put those poles where the yellow lines are in the intersections. Nobody's going to do anything.
Well, there you go. I mean, now what if someone needs to make a left turn? Do they got to go all the way around?
No. They already have these things intact in other intersections throughout the valley. It's like they're not for that purpose, but they're to divert traffic to the right direction without people doing these stupid ass U-turns all the time. It stops people from doing U-turns. I'm saying use the same technology to put it into the yellow lines sporadically every 8-9 feet. Nobody's going to be doing any donuts with those things there. I don't know.
Oh, of course not. They're going to dent the crap out of your car. That is a great idea, Fred. We're really cooking here. Thanks so much for the call. Let's keep going. If you've got a great idea how you would stop the street takeovers, I want to hear from you. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC. The street takeovers are getting worse and worse and worse in Southern California. And it's not just the crazy donuts and the stunts and the crashing the cars into people and buildings. It also leads to looting of places like auto zones and bakeries. We've got a task force that's in charge of stopping this. And so far they come up with speed bumps, and that didn't work. And they came up with tickets because it's reckless driving, and that didn't work. The tickets were written, and the events actually went up. Do you have an idea, maybe a creative one, how you would stop the street takeovers? 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Bob in Long Beach. Bob, hello.
Yes, hi. I would try fire trucks, water hoses, and if it comes to it, water cannons.
Oh, there you go.
I think that would disperse the trucks, disable them, and you could get rid of the people that are standing around causing trouble.
Get them to disperse. There's one idea, Bob. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. And yes, some of these ideas are extra constitutional, but we're thinking outside the box right now. How about Chris in Newhall? Chris, hello.
This has all been done before, and it's really effective if the justice system would just follow through. So I used to race on Mulholland, and they did a breakdown. They closed off both ends between Coldwater and Laurel. They came in, they took everybody, towed everybody's car,
And if you don't want to pay it, you're going to pay it when you register your car. They've already got the system in place.
So you think there's just a lack of will to go after these people then?
No, I think the cops would have a good time doing it. I just don't think the justice system is forcing payment and following through. I think these guys get to go home and laugh about their time in jail for 10 minutes and get their car for a few bucks and keep playing.
Yeah, we've got to make it so it is something that they'll actually think about and correct their behavior. We're not doing that right now. Love it, Chris. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. How would you stop the street takeovers? You got an idea for me? Do you think we need to do impounding? Do you think we need to increase the punishments? Do we need to change the infrastructure? Do we need to go after these people that are organizing it on social media? Because right now, all we're doing is writing tickets. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Tell us how you would stop the street takeovers, because right now what we're doing ain't working. Let's go to Joe in Long Beach. Joe, hello.
Oh, hey, how's it going? Anyways.
Doing great.
All you got to do. Okay, anyways, all you got to do is stop a couple of them. And when you impound their cars, you kind of just impound it for short term only and just throw some Apple AirTags in there. And I'm sure they're doing this already, something like that. And that way you can keep track of wherever they're at and what they're doing, follow them, and you know what's going on. But they do follow the internet and keep track of their plans and future events, and they do follow them. I mean, I know from an inside source, so they are following them.
Yeah.
And
we got to follow them, and then we got to take that car away because they don't deserve to have it. But the AirTags, that's a good one, Joe. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Noelle in Tahunga. Noelle, hello.
Hi. Well, I think they should shoot out the tires, but they probably won't do that. So maybe some kind of a spike strip launcher they could have. But once they stop them, they need to take the cars away for a minimum of I'd say at least a month, and then until they pay the fine. But they can't get them back tomorrow. They have to wait.
Yeah, no, they've got to wait. I like what they're doing up in San Joaquin County, where you don't get your car back until the case is adjudicated, but at least 30 days, at least something. And if you're participating in something really dangerous, maybe you don't get that car back at all. Maybe it's crushed. Maybe it's donated. I love the idea of the spike strips, because even if the attendants hit the spike strips, you know what? For attending an illegal event, at the very least, they should have to buy a set of new tires.
Agreed.
Thank you so much for the call, Noelle. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. How would you stop the street takeovers? Let's go to Barbara in L.A. Barbara, hello.
Hi. Thank you, Randy. I would start with what is at the root of many of our problems, and that is I would end the sanctuary city status for the state and the city. Sanctuary city and state. And I just think that would thin out a lot of things, and it would free up more police officers to work on this problem.
Well, there's one idea. Barbara, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Mike in Ukaipa. Mike, hello.
Hey, how's it going? They've done this before. Ontario used to have a really bad problem with street racing back in the day. And they would just plan a sting where they'd have 50 tow trucks just sitting around waiting. And they'd go in, they'd block the street. Every single car on that street would get towed. Every person would get a loitering ticket. My buddy used to work for the tow company, and he said come what Monday, they'd have a line down the street of people there to try and pick up their cars. After a couple of weeks of that, nobody goes. It's over.
I think that's a great idea. Maybe we partner with AAA, get as many tow trucks as we can to do an extra shift when we know one of these things is going to come, block every single entrance and exit from the intersection. Nobody is getting in or out with their car. They gave up their car the second that they decided to attend one of these events or participate in one of these events. I love it, Mike. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. It's so great how the thoughts are there, the ideas are there, and in so many cases, whether it's street racing in other counties or drag racing many years ago, we know how to solve this. We just have to do it. Maybe we have to write specific laws for this kind of event, but there are ways to stop this. And the fact that this audience can come up with all these ideas, but the LA City Council can't, the legislature can't, the governor can't, the state Senate can't. Well, what does that say about our elected officials? Who exactly is on this task force that's supposed to stop this thing? Let's go to David in Santa Ana. David, hello.
Hi, Randy. Randall A. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great.
Hey, yeah, you'd have to that seize and crush bit. You couldn't do it. You'd have to amend too many vehicle code laws and civil code laws. And the banks are going to be a big problem for those impound deals, and the towing companies, they don't want to sell on them forever. Space is limited. But the easiest thing to do is just put those pop-up pylons. They have them in Europe. They're flush with the street. And if they need the control, they use a computer and just hit go, and they pop up, and it shuts the intersection down. And for the kind of money LA County or the city of LA spends on nothing, it'd probably be a pretty cheap gig, pretty cheap way of taking care of it. Yeah.
That's a fantastic idea. As soon as any illegal activity is going on in that intersection, activate the pylons. Now they're blocked in. There's no way they're going to get out of there. That is great, David.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. All right, one more here. Let's go to Dave in Tustin. Dave, hello.
Hey, Randy, I think I have the answer.
What do you got for me?
Impound the cars, donate them to 1877 Cars for Kids, and then make the perpetrators listen to the jingle while locked up in a room for 24 hours.
Now, I love the spirit of your idea, David, but I do believe that would fall under the Eighth Amendment and no cruel and unusual punishment. Nobody should have to hear that commercial more than once in their lives.
It will do the job, though. It's called detention for prevention.
There you go, Dave. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Well, I think we cooked here. We got some really good ideas. Once again, this audience, the most creative, smartest, most engaged audience in all of talk radio, delivered, and I always appreciate your participation. Thank you so much for being a part of this show. If you have missed any episode of the News Blitz with Randy Wang, we launched this show going back to the end of January, so we've been up and running for almost 6 months now. Every single show is online. You can listen to all of them, especially our favorite Happy Hour Friday shows. We did fried chicken last week. We did sandwiches the week before that. They're great guides to some of the great eateries in Southern California. We did that one show which was vacation spots in Southern California. I wrote every single one of those down on a list, and we're going to start hitting them slowly but surely. You can get all of that at KABC.com. Click on podcast, go to the Apple Podcast app, iHeart, Spotify, search for the News Blitz with Randy Wang, hit subscribe, download all the episodes, and you'll be in the know. Thank you all so much for being a part of this show. It is a literal dream come true that I get to do this every single day. I'm going to be out for a couple of days. We got Juneteenth, and then I've got a couple best ofs running. So you'll hear some of the best of the News Blitz Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And I'll be back live in Los Angeles on Monday. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC.